we're gonna be bringing on a member right now that I think that a lot of people will be able to relate to, and it kind of almost perfectly falls in line with exactly what it is that Mike has been saying on here for quite some time. So I'm gonna let him kind of tell his story. He's been a member for a couple years. I'd like for you guys to please meet lifetime member Mr. KBL. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you guys?
I am so sorry for leaving you back there.
No worries. I was going to listen to it anyway, so it doesn't
Ah,
matter.
nice.
Yeah.
KBL, what's up, KBL? I appreciate you coming on here, man. I'm excited for you to share your story with all the viewers. Thanks for
Hey,
coming
it's
on.
my pleasure.
I guess let's start at the beginning. Walk me through a little bit. I know that we had spoke earlier, but walk me through a little bit kind of how you got into trading and how you found True Trading Group. Let's start there.
Okay, well, first of all, in terms of trading itself, I actually grew up with fundamental analysis, kind of the Peter Lynch model. It was all about whether companies were making money, how much good management they had, what was their product. It was all about the fundamentals. Slowly over time, after a lot of trips to the library to check out the Value Line Investment Survey and read Investors Business Daily and Wall Street Journal, I started hearing about this technical analysis, but I struggled with it because to me, it just didn't make a lot of sense that technical analysis would actually be something that I could use to measure where the prices were going to go. I was more interested in what the products were. But over time, I did switch over to technical analysis. I went back and forth with success on it, sometimes very successful, other times not so much, and it got a little frustrating. Then several years ago, a friend of mine sent me a link to your live stream and suggested that I listen to it. I listened. I tried the 3-day trial the very next day. And I think by the following week, I joined. And then a week or so after that, I ended up joining as a lifetime member. Quite honestly, I've never looked back. It's been one of the better decisions I've ever made.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. Did you guys all hear Satan just now?
Yeah,
Speaking
what
on
was
that.
What
I
was
have
that?
no idea. That's pretty great. So walk us through. You joined. I looked it up. You joined in January of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
You joined in January of 2021. So you've been here just under 2 years, right, Mike? Yeah.
Yes.
Bad at math.
Yes.
That sounds right.
Walk me through that first year that you signed up.
The first year, I think I went into it with maybe a little too much confidence because we had just come off of a year where it was hard not to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I could buy anything and follow it up for the end of the day and then sell it and make money. And it got so easy that I began to fool myself and thinking I was really getting good at this. And then the following year, I didn't have as much success. It seemed like I was chasing, I was over trading, I didn't control my risk. I didn't, I was greedy. I broke all the rules. Eventually, I would go back, I would reread, I would review the videos again. I would just take my time, slow it down, trade less, learn more. And eventually it started turning the corner. And once I started turning the corner, I could see these are the things that work for me. And quite honestly, I've got a little bit of a system now that I feel it works for me. It's not for everybody, but I've got a lump sum that's in my account, and I will never risk that lump sum. I invest it, but I don't risk it. And the way I do that is I have a max loss, and that max loss may be $100, and maybe $100 that I've picked up mowing lawns around the neighborhood, or a couple $100. I'll set up my trade to where, okay, I know what my max loss is going to be, and I use that to back into what my position size should be, so that if the stop loss triggers, I'm not going to lose more than that $100. And so once in a while, the stop loss will trigger, as you all know. Other times it may not, and it just starts working its way up. I start taking profits on the way up, and then by the end of the day, I look at it and say, well, that was $100 very well spent. And I didn't actually risk my lump sum. I invested it, but I didn't risk it because I had the stop loss in place. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned through TTG is how to control risk. And I learned early on, if I end up with baggies, and Lord knows I had baggies, I finally just dumped them. I just said, I got to get rid of these and get them off my plate completely. And once I did that and just started simply day trading, or once in a while hold overnight, but managing the risk, managing my position size, understand, where the stop losses should be, where the take profits should be. And those are all things that I learned here on TTG. And it's helped immensely.
That is awesome. You know, one of the things that Mike and I have been talking about, or really Mike's been talking about on here, this is kind of an unprecedented time, right? What we mean by that is, you know, you had told me on the phone, I don't know if you just said it now, but you had told me on the phone that you are retired, right?
Correct.
And that you literally participate in odd and end jobs to get money for your trading.
Exactly.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that is, you know, literally what we have been talking about. That even, you know, if you're retired, you're unemployed, you don't have the money you necessarily want at that time. That in today's day and age, there is ample opportunity to get extra income in order to participate with.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I do. I live in a small beach community now, and a lot of people come in for the weekends, but they don't like to be here during the week, so they don't do their own maintenance. So I see them out in the yard, I just go up to them and talk to them and say, hey, how much to mow your lawn? Or how much to paint this? Or power spray your deck? Or whatever they need done. And that's where I get my trading money. I accumulate that. And then that's my trading money. And whatever I have, I'm not going to have my max loss be more than that amount of money. And then that way I won't ever dip into my investment account, so to speak. The max loss for me is I happen to help out a neighbor and maybe I lost the money that I got paid to do it. So that's my risk.
So let me get this straight. Do you mind if I say your age on here?
No, go ahead.
So let me get this straight. You're a 67-year-old man.
Correct.
You obviously, and what did you do before you retired?
I worked in supply chain management. I was actually at a fairly high level of management within my organization. So I had a little money to work with. I had 401k money and that kind of thing. So I had a little bit to work with.
You know, the point that I was trying to make with it wasn't about that you had the money to work with, was the fact that you had worked an entire lifetime of a career. And yet, after you retire, you are not above going out and saying, hey, I'll mow your lawn. I'll help you with this maintenance. I'll do what I got to do to make a couple extra $100 so that I can try and make some extra income over here. That's a very I mean, people aren't like that anymore.
I learned as a kid, if I wanted to make money, I had to pick up a lawnmower or do something. Snow shovel, it took something, but a lawnmower was the easy way to go. And down here in this community, I just basically did the same thing. But then it started ramping up to the point where people would tell me, hey, can you fix this for me? Are you any good with hot water heaters? Are you good with anything else? And it's like, I might be able to fix it, but I would rather sit in front of my computer and trade during the day, and I'll work on that stuff in the afternoon, after the market's closed. So no, I'm not proud at all in terms of, if I need to have some money to invest, I'll just go out and earn it. And it's really not that hard to pick up a few $100 here and there.
And that's what I say to some people sometimes, and sometimes I get, vilified for it. Is, someone will say, well, I don't even have a couple $100. And to me, that blows my mind, because I'm like, I don't know. I was the same way. I grew up super poor. If I wanted money, I had to go wash, for me, it was washing cars, and you had to go out and you got to do what you got to do to make a couple extra bucks so that you can get the things that you want to get.
Exactly.
And it didn't matter if I was working full time or not. If I knew how to get what I needed to get, so I could get myself ahead of the game.
Well, I think
you just don't see that type of stuff anymore. It's a very rare quality that you possess, especially after, you're 60, I'm substantially younger, have far less life experience, and somebody that is that, somebody that's older than me, that's retired and worked a career for a life, to be able to say, I'll mow that lawn. I mean, I respect the hell out of that.
Well, I thank you for that. But I'll tell you also, I've worked my entire career where I've had to kind of deal with corporate stress. I've had to deal with some of the things that everybody in the corporate world has to deal with. But now I can sit back and I do it on my terms. And if somebody wants to complain about the way I did something for them, I just won't work for them again. It's no big deal. And so I can work as much or as little as I want to, but some days I'll be having a really good trading day and I'll stay here until the markets close. And then I'm not going to do anything the rest of the day. Other times I'll get in here and by 9 o'clock in the morning, it's not looking like a great day. And I'll go out and see if I can scare up some work. And it's amazing what just getting to know your neighbors can do for you. People will ask me can I run to Home Depot and pick them up some lumber? Or can I power wash their driveway or their deck? I do things like that all day long. I'm able to set my own schedule. I'm able to work with the people that I enjoy working with. And then I'm able to take the money that I earn and do the trading with TTG. I put that into my investment account, and then that's going to be my max loss. So I just back into my position size based on how much money I'm willing to lose that day. And most of the time, what I'm finding is currently I'm running probably about 70, 75%. And so it's definitely paying off. But I didn't get into TTG to try to make a lot of money. I got it for the education. I got it for the opportunity to learn how to make money. And I immediately got interested in the lifetime because I figure, well, I'm probably going to trade stocks for the rest of my life. So why would I not join this group for the rest of my life and know that I've always got a team that I can turn to? I sit here and today was a quiet day. I don't think Geo traded at all today. I think Jennifer may have just a little bit. I'll still read the comments. I'll still look at their charts. I'm looking at the things that they're seeing. And then once in a while, something will just wake me up. And today it happened to be Sava. And I know a lot of people weren't investing in it, but I saw a few things and I thought, okay, there's a chance to make some money. And I ended up with a nice green day out of it.
Hell yeah.
So, it all comes, I think so much of this is just to have a team that you feel like somebody's got your back. And if I'm not seeing anything, I've got a lot of other people that are looking at the markets too. And if they see something, they'll usually type it into chat. Or if it's one of the mods, I'll see what they're looking at. And sometimes I'll get interested and other times I don't get interested. It's not about following what other people do. It's about learning what other people do so that I can do something similar.
That's amazing. And I asked you this a little bit earlier, and I said, be honest. If it, one of the first things I said to you, you tell me true or false. I said to you, I said, when you come on, you don't need to sell True Trading Group, just share your experience with it. Please be honest about this next part. That lifetime membership, in your opinion, has that helped?
Oh, it's helped. It's helped absolutely tremendously. Number one, I've got a library of resources that I will never run out of things to study. That's number one. I can go back, I can watch the red to green workshops. I travel a lot. I'll drive back and forth because I moved from the Midwest down to where I live now. And I'll get in the car and it's a 24-hour drive for me. And I'll just listen to Simmons all day long, or I'll listen to Toner and some of his workshops that he's done. So I listen a lot. With a lifetime membership, I will never lose that. Then same thing with listening to Mike on his live streams. We'll learn a lot. You talk about golden nuggets. There's a lot of little nuggets there. A lot of things that I've learned that are just little things that have made a big difference for me. But then in the morning, I start my day by listening to Simmons. And I get the computer all booted up. I'm looking at what everybody else is looking at. And some days it's a good opportunity, and other days it's not so much of an opportunity. So I just, each day is a different day, and it is challenging times right now. If you look hard enough, there's usually something you can find that I can make a little bit of money. And more times than not, I'm getting to the point where I am making the money. And when I do lose, it's a very tight stop loss, and I don't risk very much.
No, that and man, I appreciate you saying that, and I love the fact that you're talking about how risk is part of it, losing's part of it, being consistent, losing less, but overall being consistent. And it's not about getting plumb rich, overnight. It's about building consistency and being able to make enough to support yourself and your family and cover your bills and that stuff. That's what this is about. All that Lambos, mansions, and private jets BS is just that. It's BS.
No, I would definitely agree with that. And my goal is, I've tried to set goals before, and I've tried to set daily goals, and that doesn't really make sense because there's going to be a lot of days you don't make money at all. There's going to be, some people like to set weekly goals. My goal is I want to see my account grow. That's what I want to see. I want to see my account grow. And as it starts growing, then I start thinking, man, I sure would like to crack another 1,000 in there. And once in a while, you'll have those days where you do it. And then before you know it, you look at it and you realize, you know what, in the last few months, this thing has really grown. And that's how I measure my success. I don't set a goal that says, oh, I have to make $200 a day or it's a failure, or I have to make $50 or $500, whatever it is. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as I want to make some winning trades throughout the day. And if I don't, then I'll do it again tomorrow, but I might adjust my position size in until I get a little confidence back, because it's hard not to trade with emotions, especially when you're down a little bit. It's hard not to double up your positions when you're having a great day, but you have to stay consistent and maintain that discipline. And I have found, and again, I credit you guys, that consistency comes from my discipline.
That is awesome. Well, brother, man, I really appreciate you sharing that with everyone. I think that is really, really important for people to hear. And I also think it's great that you're having one of the better years that you've had this year. You know, we talked about that earlier as well. Like last year, you know, you could throw a dart, you could put 1,000 stocks on the board, throw a dart, and chances are, you know, that was going to go up. You know,
Exactly.
this year, it's not like that. And you know, Mike says it all the time. Members are having some of the best years they've ever had. And I think a lot of people don't believe that. How could they be having the best years they've ever had? It's very simple. They are forced, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'll let you answer it as well, but they are forced to practice forced to take the education and then put it into effect instead of just relying on getting lucky or being lax. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think that's a very true statement, and I had a couple of years that really were good years for me, and I started believing that I was that good, and I wasn't that good. I was just that lucky. And now I'm getting to the point that I would call myself a good trader at this point. Certainly not on the caliber of the mods that you all have, or the Mike or anybody like that, but I am consistently making money and consistently growing my account. And to me, that's what I'm here for. And every now and then I do have some extra money that I can pull out and go buy something that I've been wanting. You know, I've gotten into some hobbies down here, and they're kind of expensive hobbies. And so, you know, now I have a way to pay for some of those. But I didn't get into this with the idea of I'm going to get rich. I got into the idea that I want to learn as much as I can about the market. And that's another thing is when you go to a cocktail party or whatever, just talking to the neighbors, and somebody happens to start talking about the economy or politics or whatever, I find that I'm a lot more informed because I am sitting here all day, every day, listening to what people are saying about the markets. And sometimes I'll have CNBC on, sometimes I don't. Because if it's important, Mike will usually come on and tell us what's going on CNBC anyway. Knowing what's going on in the market is a lot more powerful for me than to hearing somebody else talk about it because they heard somebody else talk about it who heard somebody else talk about it. But the reality is they don't know what they're talking about. But when you sit here all day long and watch it, you begin to see the patterns.
Yeah. No, that's incredible, man. All right. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And I'm so sorry for making you wait.
Oh, not a big deal at all. I appreciate everything you guys do.
No worries, brother. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, KBL.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was what a great guy, man.